fans, Black Friday has come early this year, and we're ripping up our prices for a limited time only. Get the heaviest hitting deal of the year. Save up to 33% on all plans and stack up your fight calendar with over 150 fights a year. Live on DAZN.
What a fight we have here in our main event.
And then enjoy a knockout November schedule. Subscribe before November 29th. Sign up at DAZN.com/boxing.
This is an interesting one. It's a bit of breaking news, and is it a shock? Not really. When you could kind of see this was in the pipeline. Frank Warren, it's been announced that him and Queensberry have signed a global broadcast deal with DAZN that will see them unite with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom on the same platform starting from April of next year. Now, there's not really... I'm assuming that means he's gone from TNT as of April, which would mean then that TNT, he's the only promoter who does actual work with them. I mean, they don't show any other shows. So that would mean, well, look, if it does, this is the interesting thing, if it doesn't work out for Ben Shalom on Sky, because, you know, Ben Shalom, I think, is meant to, or his contract with Sky is going to be up, I think, next year, thereabouts, and people have been speculating, will he stay, won't he? Well, there you go. I mean, if you don't stay with Sky, TNT is free. That, it doesn't come as a shock that Frank Warren is moving Queensberry over to DAZN. It doesn't. Now, I had heard a rumour. I might have even, no, I don't think I'd done a video on it, if memory serves me correct. I don't think I did. But I remember going back to, geez, it might have been just after Fury Usyk thereabouts. I remember hearing that there was rumours anyway that Frank Warren was essentially in talks or looking to actually go and basically join DAZN, move Queensberry over to DAZN when his deal with TNT expires. Now, I know Frank Warren, I think he might have, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but he might have addressed them in a video, maybe it was IFL or Box Nation or Boxing Social or whoever, and said, oh, they were committed to TNT. Well, clearly not. Clearly it makes sense, because Turkey Al-Sheikh, it was announced, he announced it on his X page a couple of weeks, I think it was a couple of weeks, I think it was just before Joshua versus Dubois, that moving forward, as in next year, that DAZN will be the exclusive broadcaster for Riyadh season shows. So, you know, the shows that we see, you know, your Fury Usyks, your Joshua Dubois, they're shown on TNT, they're shown also on Sky Sports, well, it makes sense now that Ben Shalom is there, and they're also shown on DAZN. They're shown on TNT, DAZN, and Sky Sports. So you have a choice. If you don't like one, you have another two who you could do. So, you know, you have people who will buy the DAZN pay-per-view, they might prefer them over the other two, and the vice versa. TNT, prefer them over Sky and DAZN, etc. That's not going to be happening as of next year. It's just going to be DAZN. So when I seen that, I thought, that, you know, how do you be the lead promoter on TNT when the main broadcaster is not your broadcaster? That just didn't make sense to me. So I think that was kind of, when Turkey announced that to me was kind of the dead giveaway, that, all right, Frank is probably going to be moving. Well, it's now confirmed he has moved. What does this mean for, well, two things. One, what does it mean for TNT? Will they do away with boxing? Or will they, you know, look to sign another promoter? Or will they look to do a deal with, what's the guy's name? Oh, is it Uzi As-If or something like that? His name is the guy who does GBM shows. That guy, he's got a good little stable of fighters. Now, it's nothing, you know, world beating yet, but he's put on some really good shows. I know he has a deal with DAZN. Michael Conlon, he had a show. I know he's got a deal with ProBox, and he did a show the weekend. It was actually quite a good show, to be fair. He did it on Friday night in Belfast. So could he maybe look to negotiate? I'm just thinking about what they do moving forward. Or will TNT just, you know, get rid of boxing? I know the Punditry team on TNT, they can be a little bit biased at times, especially when it's an in-house fighter, but that's the same across the board. Sky do it, DAZN do it, they all do it. TNT's Punditry team, Steve Bunt is a bit of a Marmite character. Small doses. Richie Woodhall is a good commentator. I don't mind that Darren Fletch guy. He's kind of come out of nowhere, but he's not too bad. He's got a certain, you know, confidence about him on broadcast. I don't mind him. Carl Frampton's a brilliant pundit. He really is. Laura Woods, alright as a presenter. I do prefer the other girl, Becky. She's just better. She's just a better presenter than Laura Woods, in my opinion. The one who let the side down on that TNT team is that god awful, and he is. How he got that gig, the guy has as much charisma. I can't, I'm just trying to think what has that little charisma. Is the ringside interviewer. Forget the guy's name. I think Hatman calls him the Pound Shop Ade, which I do have to laugh at. That's a bit disrespectful to Ade. I think saying that guy is the Pound Shop version, man, the Pound Shop version of Ade is still pretty good. That guy is god awful. Honestly, I don't know why I don't know how he got that gig. He's terrible. And that's the TNT team. So maybe with Frank Warren gone, will some of them move over to the zone? Because it does make you think. Matchroom, when Eddie Hearn went to the zone, he went to the zone to have a bit more control in things, and you could definitely see with the broadcast team he picked, especially the original broadcast team, which was absolutely horrendous. I mean, that was just awful. It's got a little bit better now. They brought a couple of the American presenters in on it now, but when he did that American team, it was a lot of, Eddie Hearn's mates. I can't imagine some of those guys that are on some of the shows that Eddie Hearn does, or some of the DAZN shows now, the likes of Tony Bellew, Darren Barker. I can't imagine that Frank Warren is going to be too keen, especially Tony Bellew. I can't imagine he's going to be too keen to have them doing his shows. And to be honest with you, I can't imagine someone like a Tony Bellew. I know as much as people say, Tony Bellew is just fake. I'd honestly be surprised if Bellew would even work with Frank Warren. Because you remember they had that Bellew was a Queensberry fighter for many, many years. Had a very acrimonious split, to say the least. And, there was other things that went on as well. You know what Frank is like. And if you remember, and I remember this very, very well, Bellew, when he beat Makabu at Goodison Park and became WBC champion, do you remember his post-fight interview when he addressed Frank Warren? He didn't address Frank Warren as Frank Warren. He called him Fish Eyes. I missed that Bellew. That Bellew was good. Well, I missed that Bellew. That Bellew was fun. But he called Frank Warren Fish Eyes, saying, you said I'd never get this, so two of them not exactly going to be high on each other's Christmas cards list. So I wonder what way are they going to do it with the zone. Are they going to do, because if you look at Golden Boy, they have their own not their own kind of team, so to speak, that's the wrong way of putting it, but it's the US kind of the zone team that does the Golden Boy shows. They have do you want to call them the UK team, which would be Ade presenting, Tony Bellew, Barker, Barry Jones, and Costello on commentary. Would that be the same across the board? I'd imagine, although it would be probably from an administration point of view, it probably wouldn't make that much sense. I'd imagine they might have their own, like a Queensberry team, which maybe Frampton would be part of. Maybe Richie Woodhall would be commentating Barry Jones. But then again, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what way they do it moving forward. But I would imagine Frank Warren will have a say. You would imagine, anyway, I'm sure that's probably part of the deal. You would imagine Frank Warren will have a say in the punditry team he has. Because I'm sure one of the probably agreements he's made is, and again, I don't know, I'm just speculating here, that, if I go to the zone, I want such and such on the punditry team with such and such. So let's wait and see. I mean, it was, again, the signs have been there since the summer that this was probably going to happen. In one sense, I know some people don't like it when a broadcaster like DAZN have kind of start to monopolize boxing, in a sense of they now have Eddie Hearn, they've had Golden Boy since the start as well. They also have now Frank Warren. That's 3 major promoters worldwide. If you look at all that's left is kind of Shalom in the UK, Bob Arum in the US, and PPC as well. I'm sure there's others as well, but they're starting to monopolize it a bit, which in one sense it's a good thing, because it just means that we get more of these fights. But then if your promoter will say, I know PBC are usually reluctant to kind of, as they call it, cross the street. Does that then making a fight with one of them harder? Don't know, like Shakur versus Tank. Although Tank Davis, even if Shakur was a PBC fighter, he'd probably make negotiations for that fight hard, to be fair. So maybe that's a poor example or analogy to use. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. Frank Warren moving to the zone next year. What does that mean for TNT? What does it mean for the zone? What do you think? Good move, bad move? Personally, for me, like I said, TNT, the kind of writing was on the wall going back a couple of months. You could see something like this was coming. It's more fights on the zone. At the end of the day, the people who, and again, I'm not I'm not plugging it, you know. I mean, I do a little bit of work with DAZN, but I'm not plugging it. And the people who would say, well, oh, there's not enough UK-based shows. Well, now you're going to get more UK-based shows. You're going to get the Warren shows and you're going to get the Eddie Hearn shows. So I think that would mean, theoretically, that you're at least going to get a decent fight card every month. I know we'd all like it to be a bit more than that, maybe 2 or 3 big fights, or at least a big fight card and more shows. But it probably does mean we'll get more shows on the DAZN platform. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoy it. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe. Of course, as always, if you haven't already. Lads, I'll talk to you. Peace.